You guys been seeing those videos that I put up? A little how all the places are going with droughts. China's having a huge drought. Europe is drought out. California is drought out. Lake Mead out in Colorado, droughted. They're down 75%. Videos that I put up a little okay, 75%. Yah's moving. He's getting everything nice and dry. So when he comes, he can put the judgment on the people that he wants to put the judgment on. Hallelujah. Let me share my screen with you right quick. In our Torah portion, I'm pretty sure you guys have been noticing that it's talking a lot about Yah's voice. It's talking a lot about his voice. It's talking about listening to him. That's one of the biggest problems, I would say, that we as a people have, is that we don't know how to hear and listen to the voice of our Creator, and that's been a big problem for us. We're going to go to Jeremiah, and we're going to be in chapter number 11. So Yirmiyahu, chapter number 11, for those of you who are writing it down and taking notes. Pretty huge chapter. It deals with something that we have to understand about the Creator, okay? Here's the word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh. He said, listen to the words of this covenant, then speak to the people of Yehuda and the inhabitants of Yerushalayim. Tell them that Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says, a curse on anyone who does not pay attention to the words of this covenant, which I enjoined on your ancestors at the time that I brought them out of the land of Mizraim, out of that iron smelter. I said, listen to my voice and carry out all my orders. Then you will be my people, and I will be your Elohim. In our Torah portion, Yah makes reference to this idea of an iron smelter. And I was asking, in my studies, like, Yah, why'd you just mention that? Why'd you mention that you brought us out of iron smelter? What is that iron smelter about? And after careful study, I found that Yah makes reference to this iron smelter because the individuals, okay, that make idols, this is how they do it. They make the idols with the iron smelter. So Mizraim is a picture of a big iron furnace, okay? And what they specialize in is idolatry. That's what they specialize in. That's the biggest manufacturer at that time of idolatry, okay? This is all Yah's plan, and it's coming very clear to me. It's very evident to me. You ask him, why did you bring us and send us to a place that you know that's going to be filled with idols and idolatry and all these different types of things that can cause us to lose our way? Even the book of Isaiah, he says, Yah, why have you caused us not to fear you anymore? Why did you do this to us? Why would you send us to a place that you know there's idolatry there? Why would you tell us in the book of Davarim, chapter number 4, which we're going to go back to in a second, that you're going to send us to a place with wood and stone? That's what you're going to take us. You're going to take us to a place of wood and stone. So we would be idolaters. Why would he do that? If his desire is not for us to serve any other Elohim. And I think that's where the conflict in our mind comes from when we think, if he doesn't want us to serve idols, why would he send us to a place that they have nothing but idol worship? Why would he send us to a place of wood and stone? Why would he send us to a place that's the second Mizraim? Only conclusion that I came up with was this, is that Yah's intention is to reveal himself to the world. Okay. And he's using us, hear me, he's using us as a way to reveal himself to the whole entire world, to come and get us and show them, number one, look at what happens when you follow idols. Look what happens when you make images of wood and stone. Look what happens to people who have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh. It's terrible what's happened. Everybody pretty much around the world, whether or not you and I know this or accept it, understands that the children of Israel have been put out of the land for idolatry. That's number one. Yah says, I'm going to send you to a land, and when you get to that land, you're going to worship their gods in a strange land, because in your land, you serve strange gods. Okay? This is a huge problem. I might as well go there now. I might go there again for, we're going to vacillate between Yirmiyahu 11 and Isaiah 40. Isaiah 40 is part of our Torah portion in the sense that it's called a Haftarah, and it matches exactly with the Torah portion. It gives you hints and ideas to what you need to look for and what Yah is talking about. So in the book of Isaiah, okay, in his chapter number 40, he begins by saying, comfort and keep comforting my people, okay? And he's talking to a group in the Hebrew text. He's talking to a group, you know, Nakamu, Nakamu, comfort my people, says your Elohim. And I need you to tell Yerushalayim to take heart and proclaim to her that she has completed her time of service, and that her guilt has been paid off, and that she has received at the hand of Yahweh double for her sins. And here is something that you and I have heard when we were in our Christian walk that says a voice cries out. There's a voice crying out. It says, clear a road through the desert for Yahweh, level a highway in the Arava for our Elohim. Why is this word Arava? Why is it mentioned? Simply because this is where Yah will walk with Israel. Yah will walk with us through the Arava, okay? And he says, let every every valley be filled in, and every mountain and hill lowered, and bumpy places made level, and the crags become a plain. This is talking about the destruction of what's going to happen to the earth when Yahweh comes back. Verse number 5 tells us, then the glory of Yahweh will be revealed. Okay. In the Hebrew text, it says he will reveal himself to all humankind. All flesh is going to see Yahweh together. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. Okay. So when every hill and every mountain is lowered, and every bumpy place made level, and all the crags in the mountains are going to be made a plain, and all the valleys are going to be filled in, something dramatic is going to happen. Something cataclysmic is going to happen to the earth when Yahweh reveals himself. Somebody tell me, why is Yahweh revealing himself to all human flesh, all humankind?
Everybody needs to know who was in charge.
Yes, absolutely. All humankind. Because right now, nobody is giving Yah praise and glory for all that he has done. They have made images. Okay? They're making images. They're idol worshipers. No one's calling out. Have you heard any radio station that says, thus saith Yahweh? Have you heard any news station? Have you heard any television program ever make reference to the King of Glory? No. The only people on the face of the earth that knows the Creator is you and I, the children of Israel. We're the only ones that he ever spoke to. It says a voice says, this is what this voice says. It says, proclaim. And I answer, what should I proclaim? All humanity is merely grass, and all his kindness, as Kased, is wildflowers. The grass dries up, the flower fades when the wind from Yahweh blows on it. Surely the people are grass. What is this talking about? In reference, it's talking about when Yahweh will reveal himself. Okay. That's what it's talking about. When it talks about the wind from Yahweh, it's talking about his Ruach. Yahweh's Ruach. It's not just the regular wind, it's the Ruach of Yahweh that's going to breathe upon human beings, and they will become like nothing. Just like the grass dries up and the flower fades away. But it says something here that was very interesting. Even though all that's going to happen, verse number 8 tells us something. It tells us that the word of Elohim will stand forever. And how does that connect to the Torah portion, do you think? How do you think his word stands forever connects to what you've read in the last 5 days? Why is that important? Think about him speaking to us from where? Where did he speak?
It has to do, does it it has to do with the idols.
It has to do with the idols. And what it's saying here, though, but when it says Yahweh's word will last forever, it stands forever. He's making a reference saying, okay, all the people on the face of the earth, okay, they're all going to disappear. Every good thing about them, all their kindnesses, because there are some good people on the face of the earth who do really nice things. But he's saying, even if that's the case, all human beings to me is nothing but grass. Okay. And every good part of them is nothing but like a flower that fades away. He's telling us, don't put your hope in anything in a human being. He's saying, don't look at the kindnesses that come from mankind, because man can't be trusted because he's only going to last for so long. But the thing that you and I need to put our trust in is in the word of Yahweh, because that's the only word that's going to stand forever. So the word of Yahweh is consistent with what you and I have been learning about what? What's the word of Yahweh? We have Yahweh's is what they call his laws, which is his kukim. We have his commands, which is his mitzvot. We have Yahweh's what? Judgments, which is what? Is mishpatim. We have Yahweh's moedim, which is his appointed times. We have Yahweh's Shabbat. Everything that Yahweh has spoke. We have his diet. We have the way that we're supposed to operate as a family. We have it all. It's all right there, and Yah gave it to us. If you and I would abandon this word that lasts forever, then you and I won't last forever. It's Yahweh's word that keeps us alive. If you notice what Moshe keeps saying, he says, do this and you will stay alive. All of you who did keep his word today are alive today. You didn't go and participate with the festival of Baal Peor. All of you who didn't participate, you saw what happened to them. He's letting them know what time it is. So if you and I hold on to Yah's laws, his commandments, and his judgments, okay, and his Shabbats, and every word that comes out of Yah's mouth, you and I get to continue to live. Okay. And this is a mystery, because a lot of people don't understand it. You know, I've been telling you that you and I have existed. And I've been telling you that Israel continues. Israel is going to continue just like the stars, the moon, and the sun, which are the witnesses. You and I are witnesses for Yah. Okay. So he goes on to tell them that I want you to bring this good news to Yerushalayim. And I want you to get yourself up on a high mountain and bring this good news. And this is where the Christians come up with what they call a basara, okay, the basara, which is the good news. The good news that they're talking about is the good news that's to Yerushalayim. That's what we're talking about here, okay? The reason why he wants them to go to Yerushalayim, if you remember, he says the glory of Yahweh is going to be revealed to all humanity. Once Yah reveals himself, all the hills are going to fall down low. All the valleys are going to be filled in. And Yah is going to elevate Jerusalem to be the highest mountain on the face of the earth. Okay? That's going to be the highest mountain on the face of the earth. It's going to elevate. I'm going to knock everything else down, and I'm going to raise up Jerusalem, where I'm going to live. Okay? So I want you to cry out to the top of your voice, and I don't need you to be afraid to shout out loud. I need you to say to these cities within that mountain, here is your Elohim. Unlike the Christians who told us that our Elohim was some man who walked around and who had to sleep and who got hungry. Okay. And then they got that idea about him being a shepherd, feeding his flock. It says he is like. No, it says he will be like. Okay. Be like a shepherd feeding his flock, gathering the word that I talked about, kabatsenu, meaning gathering his lambs in his arm, just like that picture you saw of white Jesus holding a lamb in his arm and carrying them on his neck and his chest and all that kind of stuff. This is where they get it from. Okay. But this is talking about our Elohim. Okay. When he comes, he's going to reveal himself. Who has counted the handfuls of water in the sea and measured off the sky with a ruler and has gauged how much dust there is on the earth and weighed out the mountains on the scale or on the hills in a balance? The question is, who has done this? Why is it mentioned? And looking at your Torah portion, why did he mention this? I'll give you a clue. Yah told us that, or Moshe told us that Yah said that I spoke to you and you didn't see any kind of what? You didn't see any kind of shape. All you heard was what?
The voice.
All you heard was a voice. Okay. So when Yah talks, and I just want to teach us something, when Yah talks about, and he's asking a question, me, right here, and he mentions the hands full of water in the sea. He calls them handfuls. And he calls the sky as being measured off with a ruler. And he talks about the dust on the earth, how is it gauged, and how is the mountains weighed on scales, and how are the hills in a balance? Yah's mentioning these things because they have to do with creation. Everything he mentions here has to do with creation. And the one who created it is the one asking the questions. He's asking the next question: who measured out the spirit of Elohim? Who me has been his counselor? Who's been his advisor? Who's been teaching him and instructing him in the way to go? That's the question. Who's been with Yah? Yah's asking us, is there anybody with me? There's no one with me. Whom did he consult? Whom did he get advice from? Who did he gain understanding from? Who taught him?
No one.
No one. And so when you look at this, you got to connect it to the Torah and ask, well, why is he mentioning this? Because he knows that Yisrael is going to make idols. That's why he tells them, don't make any idols. Because the idol can't see, it can't smell, it can't touch, it can't what? It can't breathe.
Can't hear.
It can't hear. It can't speak. None of these things. So the living Elohim is giving us a clue that says that I do all these things. I'm the one who made all these things. When you think of the majesty of Yahweh and you think about him saying, who counted the handfuls of water in the sea. Yah considers the sea to be a handful.
Wow.
He considers the sky that he can actually take a ruler out. Can you and I take a ruler out and measure the sky? How long would it take for us to measure the sky?
Forever.
Ever.
How long would it take for you and I to take the dust and measure it and weigh it out on a balance?
Ad infinitum.
So what is Yah telling us?
He's the only one that can do that. No
I'm the-
idol can do that.
No idol can do this. No human can do it. Nobody can do this except for me. This is the reason why I need you to understand who you're dealing with. You're dealing with the one who could put the sea in his hands and it'd be nothing but a handful of water. You're dealing with somebody who could pick the mountains up and put it on a scale and the hills in a balance. I could put the mountains on a scale. I know exactly how much dust is on the earth. I have measured out the spirit of Yahweh upon all living beings on the face of the earth, and not only human beings, but also the animals and the creatures, in the fish, in the birds, in the insects. I've never consulted anybody to get any understanding. I've never asked anybody on how I should judge. No one has ever taught me nothing. They haven't showed me how to build and how to discern and how to make decisions. Nothing. Well, my people don't understand this. They don't understand that when I look at the nations are nothing but a drop from a bucket, according to the Hebrew, not like a drop, but a drop from a bucket. They count as the grain on dust on the scales. So after I remove all the dust off the scales or everything I had on it, they're just like pieces of dust. These islands weigh as little as a speck of dust to me. They mean absolutely nothing to me. So when I talk and I speak, I'm letting you know that I am the Elohim of the heavens and the earth. In the nations that you're so afraid of and that you're so loyal to and you're so committed to making sure you don't do anything to make them upset. They mean nothing to me. But guess who's not mentioned right here within this context of this scripture? Guess who's not mentioned?
JC.
Oh, yeah. No, he's there. Yisrael is never numbered among the nations. They count as nothing to me. But I took you and called you as my own inheritance. They don't mean nothing to me. I'll kill everybody on the earth. Don't you see that? Don't you understand that? I've taken lives for you. They don't mean nothing to me. If I did it once, I can do it again. Yahweh tells us that the Lebanon is not even sufficient for fuel. That means they have the greatest amount of trees at any type of part of a country. They have nothing but trees all over the place. And he says, that's not enough for fuel for my offerings. Its animals are not enough for burnt offerings for me, according to the Hebrew text. It's not sufficient. But I asked you for how many offerings did I ask you for? I asked you to give me an offering in the morning, and I asked you to give me an offering in the evening. And I asked you to pour out some strong liquor for me. And I asked you for some flour. And you think that I'm sweating you over offerings? I told you in Psalms 50 that everything belongs to me. I'm not tripping off of the offerings. I don't care about the offerings. It's not about that. It's about the relationship that we have. And those are simply nothing but reminders about what I did for your ancestors and what I did for you. It's for you to draw nearer to me, for us to have some communication. You understand? For me to be in your presence. If this place, the Lebanon, does not have enough fuel trees for wood, and they don't have enough animals for offerings, what does that tell you about Yahweh?
That's how great he is.
He's great, and guess what? Nothing on this earth is sufficient to satisfy him. But yet and still, he's our Elohim. He talked to us. 17 says, before him, all the nations are like nothing. Every last one of them. He doesn't regard them less than nothing. They mean absolutely nothing to him. Why? I ain't talked to them. I haven't spoken to the nations. I haven't given my law, statutes, and commandments to anybody except for you, Yisrael. You're the only one I ever gave anything to. You're the only people I've ever talked to. You're the only one that I gave my rulings. My majestic, divine rulings that have established the heavens and the earth and everything in it. The question would be then, if this is the case, with whom then will you compare Elohim? Who are you going to compare me to? You're going to say that I became a man and I walked the earth so I can understand how you feel as if I don't know? I just told you that your life to me is nothing like grass, and the kindness of you is nothing but a wildflower. I'm also going to tell you that nobody on the earth means anything to me. They're just like little grasshoppers. I'm greater than what I've been. You guys are understanding. I'm not a human being. I'm not like you. There's no standard that anybody can evaluate Yahweh. You can't measure Yah in any kind of way. You and I can't even fully understand him Then he introduces us to the idea of why he's been saying everything he's been saying. If he told us the nations mean absolutely nothing to him, he says they're nothing but a drop from the bucket. He says that they're light as the dust and the islands mean nothing. He tells us that those in particular people, since they don't know him, what they do is they make an image, which is connected to your Torah portion. The Yah tells us not to make it, but these craftsmen make the image. Why do they make an image? Because they need to make an image so they can add a story to it so it can become alive. It's called a cartoonist. Okay. This in particular word cartoonist is called cartoon. And a cartoon is a person who can take a stylus, or they can take a knife or something. They can carve out an image of something, and then they have someone to put a story on that in order for the image to become alive. So if you notice, all the gods of the nations, all the gods of the islands, they have images, and then what they do is they tell you a story to go along with the image so you can believe that it's alive and that it means something, that it has some type of power. But our Elohim says, there is no image with me. All you heard was a living voice, and you're the only people that have ever heard it. Yah is saying, I'm alive without an image. I don't need an image. My words that I speak declare that I'm alive. Every time you go to your refrigerator and you open it up and there's no pork in there, guess what you're saying? Guess what you're saying? You're saying he lives.
Yeah.
You're saying he lives. Every time you get on your face in the morning, you say, thank you, Yahweh, for giving me the breath of my body. You're saying he lives. Every time you attach those tzitzis to your pants or your skirt or your dress or your pajamas, you're saying that he exists. Every time you say sorry for your mistakes that you've made to him, you're saying you exist. Every time you tell your children about what Yahweh did for us in Mizraim, you're saying that he exists. You and I don't need an image, because Yahweh is saying to us today and tonight and forever that I'm going to reveal myself to the world, and they will know that there is no image. All they're going to see is fire, and they won't be able to endure. But guess who will? Guess who heard the voice of the living Elohim coming out of fire and still remain alive today?
Israel.
What did Moshe say? What did he say in chapter number 4? He told us. Have you ever heard of anything like this before? Have you ever seen anything? Has anybody ever heard Yah speaking out of the fire? These great signs and wonders. Who in the world who's ever had this experience with the living Elohim? Just search. Ask your fathers. Go from the beginning of time when Yah first made the days. He's never did what he's done for Yisrael. He loves us. Look how Yah tells us something. He tells us about this man who's too poor to offer an offering. So what does he do? He chooses a wood, some wood that won't rot. And then he seeks out a skilled artisan to prepare an image that it won't fall over. I thought to myself, when my wife and I, my Isha, we're studying, we're like, well, what does this mean? Yah's telling us that people put a lot of time and effort, and he's talking about the people in nations. They put a lot of time and they put a lot of effort. It says that a person goes and they choose a piece of wood that won't rot. They actually got to go hunt and go find this piece of wood. They'll spend the time to go find something. And then once they find this wood, this special wood that won't rot in a forest, then what they do is they go out and they seek someone who's really skilled, someone full of wisdom. This word right here means kokma, skilled. Having the ability to take it and put gold over it and silver over it. As he said right here, goldsmith overlays it with gold, which he casts silver chains. Then he doesn't want it to fall over. So that means that they got to find somebody who has enough skill and enough wisdom to measure this out, to put the gold and silver in a smelter, they got to know what they're doing so they don't destroy the actual wood. So what is Yah trying to tell us? Well, what he spoke about was the iron smelter for Israel when they were in that iron smelter in Egypt. Okay. We were exposed to nothing but idolatry. Okay. The nations are full of these types of people. Instead of them taking the time and hunting and reading and finding out and searching and seeking Yahweh, they're going to go seek out people to help them prepare an image that will fall over. They won't fall over. Thinking that this, since it doesn't fall over and I measured it and I put enough weight on it and it's not falling, that means that I won't come to ruin because this image is not coming to ruin. The image is not ruining. It's not coming, not being exposed to the elements. So it lasts forever. So as long as this God, this wood craft lasts, then that my God can last for that time as well. Well, when you got a person who thinks like this, who's an idolater and who worships idols, they have a different type of mindset. They know, you understand? They know that this is not living. They know that. But they seek it out anyway, because as my wife and I discovered today, they want something that doesn't talk to them. Hear what I'm about to tell you. If you got an idol and you got an image of an idol, you got a piece of wood and you got it covered with gold and silver, it doesn't talk. It doesn't speak to you. It doesn't instruct you. It doesn't correct you. It doesn't discipline you. It doesn't advise you. It doesn't counsel you. The whole time you're counseling yourself based upon a story that you heard, what you wanted to be for you. And this is the reason why Israel has turned to idols, because we're a different type of people. We don't like correction. That's why he calls us rebels. He says, you cast my instructions behind your back. You won't listen. I came to you and spoke to you the way that I did in a PL form to get your attention, to let you know that I am alive. But instead of you choosing that which is living, you choose that which is dead, because that which is dead cannot correct you, and you know it. I asked myself today, you guys know the story about my aunt who didn't talk to me for 2 years because I got up and spoke Hebrew in front of a congregation of Baptist people. And I asked myself today, if I was married to a Chinese woman and she got up there and she wanted to do a contribution for my mother, and she got up there and said something in Chinese, do you know those people would have gave her an offering and would have sat her down and said, oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you doing that for my sister. But when I said what I said in the text and read it in its original language, they didn't want to hear it and called it a religion. Why is that? Because I'm a walking indictment. If you walk around and you tell people the truth and you say exactly what it is, they don't want the authentic. I mentioned that story to let you know. People choose the God that doesn't correct them. They choose a God that they know that they're not going to hear nothing from. This is the reason why they said, hey, his words are done away with. That's the Old Testament. These people got enough arrogance and enough gall to say that what the Creator said doesn't matter anymore. That's why they choose these people. That's why they choose the gods that they serve. But Yah has said something to us tonight. He's telling us the reason why I'm mentioning this to you is simply because you're acting as if you don't know. You're acting like you don't know. Don't you hear? Did I not give you ears? Have I not told you? Haven't you been told from the start? Don't you understand how the earth is set up? What is it about this that you don't understand? What is it? What do we not understand? What is it that we don't know? We have these lenses, and we're looking at Yah as if he's not as grand as he is. We're looking at him like he's a figment of our imagination. And that we can say whatever we want to say, and there's nothing that, he's not going to hold us responsible for. And that's not true. I'm terrified. Because he who sits on the circle of the earth, whom its inhabitants, myself and you, look like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to live in. Yah can turn around and open the tent curtain. He can open that curtain if he wants. He can destroy the tent if he wants. He can take the strength and the pole out of the tent and let the tent fall. And what could you and I do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
He reduces the princes, all these nations, to nothing. All the rulers that you and I are afraid of on the earth, I'm going to bring them down to emptiness. I'm going to bring them to ruin. Just like the grass is withers, same thing. Scarcely they're planted, scarcely they're sown, scarcely their stem takes root into the ground. Then he blows on them with what? The ruach that he talked about in the first couple of verses. And then they dry up, and the whirlwind carries them off like straw. Yeah, I asked this question. With whom then will you compare me? You're going to compare me to a human being? You're going to compare me to a ruler of the earth? You're going to compare me to a man? You're going to compare me to a bird? You're going to compare me to an insect? You're going to compare me to a star that I've made? Ask the set apart one, the Kadosh one. Turn your eyes to the heavens. See who created these. He brings out the army of them in sequence. They're not just randomly popping up anytime they want to. He summons each of them by their name. There's trillions of stars. There's galaxies that you and I don't even know of. They still haven't discovered the extent and expanse of the heavens. Yah is great, and through his great might and his massive strength, not one is missing. Question. Because now that we know that we have this Elohim, Yah has asked this question to Yaakov, and he's asking it to Yisrael. He says, why do you complain? Or why do you say, according to the Hebrew, why do you say, Yisrael, that my way is hidden from Yahweh, my rights are being ignored, my judgment that my Elohim has not done for me? He's forgotten about me. The whole time that Yah has expressed from chapter 40, verses 1 through where we are right now, Yah has brought us to the point for us to ask the question. He's asking you and I a question. Why are you complaining? Why are you making statements about me as if I forgot about you? As if I've ignored your rights, meaning the thing, your judgment. That's what it means. I haven't given you justice. If you are my Elohim, then why are my rights being ignored? Yeah, I asked the question again. Haven't you known? Haven't you heard? You yada? That's to know. You've been intimate with me. Have you heard? That means you Shema. Did you hear me? Yes, you did. Huh? That the everlasting Elohim, Yahweh, the creator of the ends of the earth, does not grow tired and weary. I'm not a human being. I am a low basar. I'm not a human being. And that his understanding cannot be fathomed. You and I may not fully understand Yahweh's ways. And we're not supposed to. We don't get why we've been here as long as we've been. We don't get why he sent us into exile and allowed these people to do everything that they've done. We don't get, okay, every aspect of why he's done what he's done. Yah has a purpose. Yah is not going to ignore what has happened to us. You're not ignored by Yah. You just don't understand his plan. That's all. And he's telling us that he will invigorate the exhausted, and I'm going to give strength to the powerless, as I always do. And young men will grow tired, okay, and weary, and the fittest may stumble and fall. But those who hope and put their trust in Yahweh will renew their strength, and they will soar aloft with eagle's wings. When they are running, they won't grow weary, and when they are messed up there. When they are walking, they won't get tired. I'm going to give you something that allows you to continue. And what I'm going to give you is my Ruach when you get back to the land. I'm going to strengthen you. I haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to gather you like a sheep, like I told you in the beginning of this chapter. I'm going to gather you. I'm going to lead you back, and I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to bring you from the nations because the nations have convinced my people that I forgot about them. That's why they gave you their God. Okay. And let me end by showing you the God that he's talking about. So anybody that's in your family that still wants to play games, okay, extended family, you know who they are. They want to, talk about something like, oh, no, we got the same God. Okay. Go to Google. I want you to look up theology, the word origin. Okay. I want you to understand it. It's right there in front of you. Here it is. The origin is Greek. And the name of that Greek god is called Theos. Okay. Logia is Greek. But they would probably come up with logos, which is the word, which they call that character Christos Iesus. Theologia is Latin. Theology, French. Theology. That's where you get theology. And what theology is the study of Theos. You mean to tell me? So when someone talks about, well, you got a different type of theology, and you know what you're going to tell them? Huh? You're going to say, you right. You almost made me say something. You right. I do have a different type of theology. I don't have a theology. I don't study Theos. That's the name of the God of the New Testament, people. The creator's name is never mentioned one time. Zippo. You know what Zippo is? Zero. But in the Hebrew text, it's 6,828 times. Okay. So in the New Testament, in a study of Theos, which his son is Iesus, okay, that's that family. So that's a whole different God. Okay, you don't study this. You're not going to study Theos. You see it right there. It's a study of Theos. And how do you study Theos? So what did Theos say? Theos has given you his word, which is logos. And you listen to these words, meaning you have heard has been said, but I'm going to say unto you. In the beginning was the word, which is logos. That's what his name is. So you and I got to choose. You got to listen. If you're going to listen to Theos, or you going or are you going to listen to his son Logos? Or you can listen to Yod, Hey, Wahe. Now, you telling me that the Greeks didn't know about Yahweh's name? You telling me they knew it was a set apart name? They knew that they call it the tetragrammaton. That's actually Greek, tetragrammaton. They know what it is. Why didn't they put it in there? Why did they remove Yahweh's name? They didn't substitute. Listen to what I'm telling you. They did not substitute Yahweh's name. They never put it in, people. The name for Lord is Kyrios. And that's all they call Theos' son, Iesus. That's what they call him. They call him Kyrios. So Theos, Kyrios, Iesus, Logos, okay? Christos. It's all there. So that's the study. So you and I don't have a theology. We don't study the Bible. We don't study the Bible. We read the ancient Hebrew biblical text. Okay. Case in point, if you look at the book of, what do they call it? The book of Jonathan, the book of Jonas. By the way, the word Kepha, which they call in English Peter, his name is Greek. Yeah, Kepha is not, Kephas is not a Hebrew name. Okay, so let's just look in the book of Johnny. Here you go. It's from left to right. In the beginning was the Logos. Right here. We don't know nothing about no damn Logos. Excuse my French. Logos. And here's, they call them Theo. It's Theos right here. It said Theon. It's not Theon. Watch this. Look what, oh, here he is. Yeah, right here. Theos, right here. Theon, Logos. See, that's not what we do. That's not who, they know that. You understand? Okay, they capitalize it to let you think that it's a person. And they're saying that this word right here, praise be to the living Elohim. They're saying that this guy right here, Logos, they're saying that Logos was the words, which are in our language is called the Hadavarim, that were spoken to Israel. They're saying that these words right here from Logos were the ones that were spoken at creation. He was there, he was the actual word that the creator used to create. See? But they didn't say Yohewah did that. And Yah has never identified his words with this word called Logos. Never. Okay? Let's see if I got something here for you. Here you go. I always keep a handy Wikipedia. Just so when people want to like talk, you know, when I get on these fights with people, listen what it says and I'll let you go. In Christianity, Logos, right? The word, discord, the word, in the beginning was the word, is the title for Jesus Christos right here as the pre-existent second person of this so-called Trinity. Yah says that he's alone, right? And they give the, you know, they cite this, which they have, and then it's transliterated in a certain way. But anyway, according to this guy, Irenaeus of Lyon, and is he a Greek? Yes, he is. He was a student of John's disciple, Polycarp, okay? At this time in 69 to 156, John the Apostle wrote these words specifically to refute the teachings of Cerinthus, who both resided and taught at Ephesus, the city that John settled in following his return from exile. While Cerinthus claimed that the world was made by a certain power far separated from the Almighty God, John, according to Irenaeus, by the means of John, 1 through 5, presented the Almighty God as the creator by his word. So they were having an argument. And so this Cerinthus made a distinction between the man Jesus, okay, Christos from above, who descended on the man Jesus at his baptism. John, according to Irenaeus, presented a pre-existent word and Jesus Christos as one and the same, okay? And therefore, because of that, okay, this contention in this argument, you have two Greeks who came up with this understanding of Logos. And it was from who? Irenaeus and this other guy having this contention and conversation. Okay. And if you look at this, you can get some time. I want you to study Logos. Just go to Logos and look it up. They talk here in the Johannine literature, and they talk about it's in Luke, and they talk about where it's at in the Septuagint. Ignatius of Antioch, Justin the Martyr, Thelapius of Antioch, and all the Irenaeus from Lyon, Gnosticism, it's all there. Everybody that you got right here are all Greek. Now, one Hebrew person is responsible for writing any of this stuff, okay? So they got what they would call, and they call it literature. The New Testament is literature. And it occurs in the book of, whatever. But here's one thing I want to say before I leave. The little part that they do have here with the Septuagint is the idea of the 70 books or the 70 authors who supposedly came together. And they claim that these individuals came together, like from the 12 tribes of Israel, which we know that's not true because the 10 tribes have already been dispersed throughout all the countries and all the world. So the Septuagint is this writing of the Greeks. So the Septuagint and Christian theology are taken as prefiguring the New Testament. And what they've done is they've gone in and went to Genesis and they rewrote it, in their language. They went to Psalms. After they did the first 5 books of Moses in the Septuagint, they turned around and said, okay, well, we got those copies. Now let's create another copy. Let's do the Psalms. So it wasn't like it all at one time. It was over a period of time. Okay. And so they go through and they change all of the words that were in Hebrew to Greek. And of course, when they did this, they changed all the names because they want this in particular, these writings to be consistent with everything that they write that has to do with Theos. They knew that you couldn't use Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. They know that because that is the Elohim of the Hebrews only. Okay. Theos is the God of all their earth. And this God is the one who has been dominating the earth and the world from their perspective. Okay. They don't know Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. They don't know who he is. If they did, he said, you would know your destiny and you would know that you're going to be destroyed. So this is not just about taking Israel back like he did with from Mizraim. Yah is deciding and to bring judgment on the gods. All the gods of the earth are about to be judged. That's why Yah has spread us to the whole world. And you're at what? All 4 corners in every direction. When he talks about the 4 corners, he's talking about the north, the east, the south, and the west, okay, which is the news, okay? That's where I'm going to have you, okay? So that's what he's talking about, okay? So Yah's coming to destroy and to bring judgment on all the gods of the earth. Once he does this and he uses us as the reason, he needs some reason to come, and he's used us. So his understanding is, I don't want to say that he said, I'll say it, that it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I get to get my people. I get to gather my people back to myself. Okay. So I'm going to gather my people. And then also too, I'm going to judge the nations. I'm going to destroy their gods. Okay. What else am I going to do? I am going to reestablish the earth. Okay. I'm going to bring the Torah to the world. I'm going to reveal myself to all the nations so they know who I am. Okay. And then I'm going to receive glory from all creation, as Akoti Talion had said. That's his purpose, is to get praise and glory from everybody. And we could go to a scripture later to look at that. He says that his name will be the only name. His mountain will be the highest mountain of all mountains. Okay. So this is what it is. So when anybody who wants to come to you and start talking to you about theology, or they want to talk to you about the God, saying we have the same God, and don't we all have the same God? Then you should be able to tell them, no, we don't. The God that you serve is called Theos. Look it up. It's right there. It's in the Greek right there. You understand? It's right there. It's called Theos. All right. That's not our Elohim. That's not our Elohim. That's the Elohim who helped assist to put us in slavery. That's the Elohim that makes everybody believe that they're free. See, that's what you got to believe. With our Elohim, you and I found out that you and I are not free. We found out that we're in captivity right now and we're waiting to be saved. Their God says that you're saved because you believe. From what? Your sin. We ain't never had to been saved from our sins. We've never been saved from our sins. We've been cleansed from our human sins. And any sin that you and I committed that was on purpose, sorry, you got to go. If you did it on a mistake, there was forgiveness made for that because we're a different classification of people. We're not like everyone else who can do some stuff and think that you're going to get away with it and go cry at the altar. That's not who we are. You can't commit adultery and then go around and sit back and act like nothing ever happened. That's not going to happen. And I'm talking actively. I'm not talking about your past. If you've done something in the past, I want to make it clear. You did it out of error. And you didn't know Yahweh's laws and his rulings and his statutes. And you need to be thankful that you didn't know. Because if you did know and you still did it, there's no remedy for that. There's nothing for that. Because it was intentional. Okay. So that's your class tonight. I'm looking forward to talking with you. This in particular Torah portion is so deep. So much in it. Chapter 4, 5, and 6, talks about a lot of stuff. But we're going to hone into some things that Yah wants us to talk about. And I'm just going to let you know what we're going to hone in on is we're going to hone in on what the words that he did say and how did he say it? Not just what the English told us, but what does he literally mean when he says these things to us? And who's he talking to? Okay. And how does it translate and what goes along with that? Because they're very precious words and they're divine and we need to hear them. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Laila Tov, everyone. You have a wonderful evening and I'll see you on Shabbat.
Malato.
Okay.
Laila Tov.
Shalom.
Laila Tov.